Hello guys, my name's Intevyou, host of the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Now today we are continuing our series. We're chatting to Ben. Now Ben is from the UK and he works in a school. He works in a school and he's got dyslexia and dyspraxia. And today we talk about how he is getting the right accommodations for himself in school and the skills he's used and adapted over time to get him to where he is and how other people can use that. Now we're talking to him because he's a great person, great inspiration, but also he was a part of the Conquering Dyslexia Summit. And we speak to him in there for detail with step-by-step plans of how you can get the right accommodations for you and the things you need to do in work when you are dyslexic. So to get there, you go to conqueringdyslexia.net/summit. That's conqueringdyslexia.net/summit to get there. I'm sure there'll be links somewhere. You can just click it, so typing it, because I know that's hard for us. So anyway, guys, I hope we enjoy today's episode. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Intevyou, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast.
Theo, you good, mate?
Hey, Ben.
Rapid. I love it.
Yeah, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, I'm alright, matey. It's been a long week at school, because obviously I'm not a PE teacher anymore. I'm more of a TA and a teacher and stuff, so loads on with all the students, but luckily it's only like 8 students, so it's a nice bubble, getting to know them all, so I'm loving it. What about yourself?
I know exactly how that feels, just working in the school myself, and like the world is changing all the time, like who's in and who's not in, and we think like we're not going to be in, and everyone has to be in, and like all the bubbles are different changing. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but I feel like we're getting through it, and I'm really excited. Because the thing, like, you plan loads of stuff, you organize it all, but when it comes to like actually doing it, and then your whole plans change because like your work, your jobs, that all changes. But it's going good. It's going good. So how? Because I'm really excited to chat to you today because I know we've been through the summit interview, and now it's like, oh, we got this thing. It's really valuable, and we're trying to get it out to people. What were some things do you think that would be really valuable? Because we spoke about a lot. That things that you spoke about there would be really valuable for other people to get and understand.
Yeah, so I think first up, like we said last week about a blank slate. So I think if you're ever struggling with your academia, it could be your degree, it could be GCSEs, anything, or even in sports skills, try and do the basics right first. Get to know the simple stuff, and then the harder stuff will get easier. So I think that's a massive one. So you've got to use all your senses, use your visual, use your kinesthetic, use your auditory, and really get to know the topic, get to know everything from a different viewpoint as well, not just your own viewpoint. And I think just experience it as well, because obviously I think we learn best from experiencing something and then reflecting upon it, and then we're really going to get the good stuff.
Yeah. I'm going through all the interviews now and like writing notes and putting together all the different step-by-step plans that I'm going to go through, because I've interviewed over a dozen different people on all these different areas and all these different areas of expertise because they have different experiences, and it's really fascinating to see common trends out of all of them, because there's a step-by-step plan of like how can you help your child with dyslexia, and you mean getting them up, so then best help and support how you can be best in work in the education system, whether it's higher, whether it's lower. But it all, like, when I speak to all these different people, it's really interesting that they all had some sort of reason for their struggle, some sort of goal that they were heading towards. They're saying like, yes, this is hard, and yes, this is ugly, but yeah, I'm doing this so I can learn something, but yeah, I'm doing this so I can get that thing. So how valuable was it? Because I know that you was really into sport. It sounded like when I was chatting to you, you were this really hyperactive kid that was into so many different things. But how valuable was it to have some sort of goal to shoot towards?
Yeah, so like I said, like without sport, I would have been no one. I wouldn't have thrived in academia because I learned a lot of soft skills, so communication, teamwork, leadership from the sport to academia.
Yeah.
So, and then the goal really was my mum and dad always said you have to do something for at least 6 months. If you don't do it for 6 months, then you've gave up and you've done the wrong thing really. So you've got to make the right decisions, the right options, and just have some fun. Find what you enjoy. And I think if you find what you enjoy, I think the goal will just settle for itself. It will just create its own self. So my goal now is to be a sports psychologist, a fully qualified one. Currently a sports psychology practitioner, so I'm seeing how that goes. I love coaching as well. I'd like to go up the ranks in that. Same as teaching, I really enjoy that. So there's loads of different elements. I'd love to have my own podcast and YouTube channel and all these different things. But I think to get there is about, you have to be rooted with a passion. You have to love what you do. Otherwise, you're spending like 67% of your week at work miserable. And you don't want to be miserable because you'll burn out, you lose motivation, you'll get fed up. So find what you love and do what you love.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that so much. It's like, I know for myself, if I'm not passionate or into something, I won't do it very well. And it's like with other people, if they're doing something, and like, for example, they've been in a job they've been in for years, or they're just going to classes and classes and classes, like loads of English lessons, loads of boring lessons that you hate anyway, because you find it difficult and you're struggling, and you don't see a point where you're learning it, and you believe maybe you can't learn it, then your abilities will be so like minute. Your abilities will be like so limited, as it were. But once we start like turning it around and start finding something that we can go towards, like this is a goal I want, or these are the reasons I want to learn this, then I think it taps like a different side of what, like who we are, and sort of different level of thinking and applying. Because I know like my life, I remember like going to having all like their special support education, all these different English lessons, loads of one-to-ones. It took me 6 years to say my name like Theo correctly because I like a speech impediment. The word Theo, and having so many like you were talking about soft skills earlier. I struggled so much with soft skills. I remember like just conversations. I still struggle with that today, but got a lot better with conversations more than like one person. I find it difficult to like when to speak. It's really weird. I remember it's some in the class, like teachers saying like when you're speaking, it's like you're pulling out in traffic. You have to wait for the right moment to speak, otherwise you're like hit into like other cars, or that when you're speaking. I'm speaking about like speaking when someone hasn't finished their speaking. So to be honest, I'm still it's weird. I still struggle with that, but I remember learning that loads when I was younger, and
I struggle with it as well.
8 years in special education. Of like one-to-one lessons, doing all this stuff, and I did improve my reading, writing abilities over the course of 8 years. But it was painfully slow. But I remember like joining that class, and at the start, like I moved down during that class in the dyslexic school, and got moving down from I was in.
Where's the sorry? Where is the dyslexic school?
So it's in. Oh, no, you throw me off now. I'm
sorry, it's intrigued.
So I'll remember it. I think it was
down south.
Keston, which is near Bromley area, and then the dyslexic school is called Brown School. Head teacher was Mr. Brown, but then it changed, and it's in I think it's in Chelsfield. I think it's in Chelsfield, but so really small school. Started off by Mr. Brown. When I went there, started off Mr. Brown like 16 years ago. When I went there, which is like I don't know, like 20, 30 years ago, whatever. So like 50 kids school maximum, and then I was in there from year 3 to year 11, and I remember getting to year 6, and like it was just like a primary school. But once I moved to year 6, they changed it to a secondary school and a primary school. So I went through the whole thing, and I remember going through this whole journey, like learning kind of the same sort of stuff and never really improving it. But then I remember like moving from that school to like a big massive sixth form, where like moving from school 50 kids to a school of over 1,000 kids, and now like to be honest, I didn't have to learn social skills when I was in my small school. Same people every single day, you just get along because you have to. But when you're in a school with like so many people, you have to learn social skills, and that's when I really felt I was struggling those struggling those with social skills, speaking to people and doing all these sort of things. And I think that I found like how bad I was at certain skills and how unequipped I was at dealing with the world. Because I often feel sometimes with a dyslexic school that is so good in so many areas, but it has a false view of what reality is when you're in there for too long. Because it says, oh, okay, this is, you mean, it's a sort of treat, like, makes you believe that everyone around you is like you, but in the reality,
you become institutionalized. Yeah. A bit like being in the army or being in prison. You do, because you've been there for so many years. You get into that routine. You think this is the way of life, but actually, when you go outside the school gates, it's a totally different world.
100%, and it's like weird. So I remember joining at school, and I remember like after going through this massive journey with my English, like really struggling with it, and then like, because I never got anywhere close to passing a GCSE English, but then I sort of like in my dyslexic school only passed like because just barely scraped by on the functional skills, barely scraped by in the dyslexic school. But when I moved to sixth form, the first year they didn't expect me to do anything. But because that school moved from like a state school to a Harris Academy school, for the years, that all the rules changed and I got forced to do GCSE English. So I was not happy with that at all. Imagine like 8 years of my life having the best support and still barely improving and feeling like I was still at the bottom of the bottom in the level of reading and writing compared to everyone else in that school. So like, if I can't improve it there, how do you think I can improve it at this sixth form? And I was like, this makes no sense. But then it was really interesting. See, the woman said to me one time, I was arguing with her saying, I don't want to go to these lessons, it's pointless. Then she was saying that, why do you like say that to yourself? And I said the same, she knows my history. And then I was like, well, I say it because I believe it. And then it's weird, it tricked it, sort of like that kind of did like a weird trick in my brain, because something that I've learned like through loads of times through like improving my confidence is that all these beliefs about who we are ultimately an opinion about ourselves.
Yeah, subjective.
Like, yeah, because the reason why we believe things is a feeling of certainty about something, but ultimately that's not fact, that's an opinion. And we believe it because that's based on experience on the past. But I was like, what if I give it everything I got? What if like nowadays I just give it everything I got on my English? What would happen then? And I remember getting really emotional, but to cut to the punchline of working extremely hard, of feeling vulnerable and just like.
How did you learn it then? How did you get better at English? What was your strategy?
My strategy was, because I felt I didn't open any more dyslexic books or research anything into dyslexia, because I felt, look, I had the best at like all these top education people, all the qualified people, just throwing stuff at me. And I remember looking back and I remember things that work. I remember things that like when I do it, I would learn something that I would be struggling for years. And be like, okay, I'll do that. Because loads of people always talk, like, used to do the thing where saying, okay, you want to spell this word, like, for example, with elephants. I forgot, like, no, how you spell because. Big elephants always cause accents under small elephants. And people always use, like, the anagram of all these different words, but they won't work for me. I don't, like, this never worked for me.
You don't like acronyms,
But, like, and I'm not into, like, think about what works for dyslexia. I'm into what works for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's individualized. Everyone who's dyslexic learns in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. So I had all these different things. And I remember, like, one thing that really worked for me was this, like, little tick. It was actually toe by toe. Later learned that was toe by toe. But that thing worked for me, what I thought was a lot more better than the others. So anyway, I went through that. But can it come down to extremely hard work? I had this little notebook called My Dyslexia Up notebook, because I used to laugh at it, because I went through, like, over a dozen, maybe 2 dozen of these little notebooks. Because I was really into my boxing at the time. That's why it's the reason I was in sixth form. But I used to basically travel to get a bus to school. From school, I used to get a train to London, like by London Bridge, to go boxing, and at like 9 p.m. get a train all the way down to home. And I was on like public transport for about 3 hours a day on average, Monday to Friday. And every single minute, I remember pulling out my little notebook and writing the words down I couldn't spell. Because I was doing sports sixth form, BTEC sixth form, BTEC sport on my computer, and because there's so many different words, and every third word had a red line on it. And I would speak to my phone about what I wanted to say, and my phone would come up with this correct spelling. I would correct it on the computer and write that down in my little notebook.
Repetition.
I know that's a word I wouldn't spell. And I would get on a bus, look at these words, and I would look at it and I would say it over and over and over again to myself, like cat, cut at her cat, cut at her cat, and write it with my finger, and I would like imagine it burning, like a red hot thing inside my mind, to like the steam coming out my ears, and I'd explode, write that name down, like 6, 7 times, extremely fast on my book. And then even times that most of the time that worked, and I did it really like intensely, because my thought was at a time was more intensely I do it, the more it be ingrained in my mind.
Yeah, I was the same.
Yes, so I did that, and like, so sometimes it works. If it didn't work, I'd still write it down in my book and just go through the same way.
Yeah, it was our only strategy: rewrite. Same as times tables. I used to practice on my way to my granddad's every time. It's like a 40-minute journey every single week. I'd practice my times tables in my head and say them out loud to my mum and dad just to try and get it, because obviously the basics of maths is times tables, division, addition, and subtraction. If you know that, you're pretty much going to go far at maths.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is, I'll ask you a really good question. So anyway, I done all that. I was getting into school an hour early, leaving school an hour late, just doing everything I could, and eventually I got my C in English, which is like unbelievable. But
amazing achievement.
Yeah, but what's interesting?
Should be proud of that, mate. Should be proud.
But what's really interesting? I look back, and I improved my like reading and writing ability. Like I look back and I think about roughly 500% more. This is what I looked at in that 1 year of sixth form. Like it was like 8-9 months. Compared, and like I proved it 500%. And when I look back, hold on, I had 8 years of like special needs help, but yeah, this is when I improved 500%. And I was like, why does that? You know, how the hell does this work? And this is partly the reason why I'm so passionate about putting on the summit, by finding the real solutions, not the common solutions that people like pay a lot of money and things to like.
They put you into a box, didn't they?
Yeah,
they labelled you in a box and just kept you and say that's all you can do, Theo, and I can't see you doing anything else. This is the strategy, but they didn't actually ask you what do you want. But they never asked that, did they?
No.
How can we improve together?
Yeah,
because it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. Because you and the practitioner, or you and the dyslexic, it could be an educational psychologist. They've got to get to know you and know how you tick.
100%.
And a lot of them don't do that.
Yeah, and yeah, because my main thing, like, what I got taught to believe that it is what it is. Like going through the dyslexic school, I got taught to believe I have dyslexia. This is what it is, and you have to accept it and just move forward.
It sounds like Love Island. That's their favourite quote. They love it. You've probably never heard of that, but yeah, they say is what it is every 10 minutes on the last series. But no, carry on, mate. Sorry.
But yeah. So, but I never got. This is what I like. What I really realised once I left there and started getting into that, like the truth is like improving myself. I believe that because I suffered with logical confidence, struggled with logical confidence, couldn't read and write, doing all these things, different struggles. But I just blamed it down to, this is the way it is. I had the help, had the support, but I can't improve because, look, if they can't help me improve, how can I? Yeah. But what I realised is the ultimate truth is that, well, there's two things, is that you have to take responsibility for your life, for it to change.
Accountability, yeah, you're right.
The second thing is that it doesn't matter what you have, it's what you do when you have that counts.
Yes. Yeah, you could have the best plan on paper, but if you can't utilise it to the real world, then it's useless.
100%. And I want to ask you a really interesting question. Because when you worked really hard on your maths, why were you doing it?
Well, I was doing it because we were always taught at school that maths and English and science are the most important subjects. That's probably why. I must admit, though, I don't know, I fell in love with most subjects. The only thing I wasn't good at, it may be to do with dyslexia or maybe just my passion. I couldn't do wood tech or metal tech. I couldn't even get 2 blocks of wood to be the same size. It was a nightmare. So that's my massive flaw. But I was good at catering and PE. But the thing is with dyslexics, a lot of the time, not all of them, they do sometimes struggle with sport because they're usually dyspraxic as well. So it usually affects your motor coordination and stuff. So I've got a few students who I can tell they've got some issues there processing the information and also being able to do it with their hands and feet and stuff with football and even with tennis balls and stuff like that, catching. But yeah, it's just really interesting. I've just noticed it's trial and error. And a lot of the time, I think it's good that I didn't know until I was 19 that I was dyslexic, because it meant that I could enjoy my childhood without having a label on me, and I could see myself as, I didn't think I know I had a problem in my academia, but in sport I was accepted. In Beavers, Cub Scouts I was accepted, same as Sea Cadets, and coaching as well. Like my coaching style is totally different to anyone else in my cricket. So like in cricket I will come up with the most wacky, creative, innovative ideas, and the kids look at me like, what's going on here, Mr. Hughes or Ben? And I'm like, well, we're going to give this a go. We're going to see how it goes. And it usually goes really well. Sometimes there's going to be some massive mistakes. There always is. Yeah. Same as in sports psychology as well. There's going to be some massive mistakes. These things happen. It's part of life. We have to learn from it. It's always a lesson every single day. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's always a process. I see it as, like we said last week, it's not all about the outcome. It's about the process to get to the outcome.
Yeah, it's really true, and I think that's really resonated for us. Like, especially dyslexics, we have. I think because we had the discipline to be able to try, because we've had the practice, we had to try new things in the past to see if they succeed, because the old way doesn't work for us, and that gives us one, permission to try new things, and two, because we think creatively, because we don't think the same as everyone else. We look for situations like that we can do that other people don't normally think of. Because I remember, like, it sounds really bad, when I was personal training people, and all these different people come to me. And having all these different problems, and I got really into posture at the time, and saying, "Oh, with my this hurts," and I'm like, "All right, let's realign your posture," and all this sort of stuff. And it was just, I used everyone as guinea pigs, and you sort of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we actually do. Yeah,
this will definitely work, and I've no idea if it will work. And they try it, and I go, "Did that work?" And they go, "No." I go, "Okay, that didn't work." And yes, it did work. And it's sort of like, it's the whole approach on trying and failing and trying something new, really, really valuable. And how important it is, do you think, for like people who, for example, in your position, what you talked about a lot on, like, you gave a really detailed step-by-step plan on, was like, but someone to find their passion, find what they're good in, you mean to like believe in themselves, and then to sort of like learn the soft skills, and then find sort of like a career path or something that they're interested in going in. How valuable is it to look for information like guidance on what the next steps are, if that makes sense?
All depends, really. I think the key thing is, with dyslexics especially, I think you need to talk to each other. I know we're all, like we said, we're all individual, but get to know how they've got to where they are. So I think that's really important to know, okay, is it about they've found that opportunity, or have they created it for themselves? Have they spoken to that person? Have they launched their own business? Have they created their own logo and brand and all these different things? Like someone like Gymshark, I know it's not about dyslexia, but that was nothing at first, and then look at it now. All these different things. Well, everything's nothing at first, isn't it? It has to launch and escalate, and you have to have progress. So everything, like Tony Robbins, I know you really like him. He was nothing like 30, 40 years ago, of course, because he's early on in his career. But we don't see it as that. It's like Michael Jordan. He's 6'3". He was seen he was never going to make it in the NBA. And then look at him, one of the best basketball players ever. LeBron James, adversity. Michael Phelps has got ADHD, and he's got depression, and he's still the most decorated Olympian ever. It just shows that at times, like especially for us, adversity gets us far. Challenges are important because it means that we're more resilient. It means that we have to figure it out for ourselves and be independent in our thinking, talk to people, social network. But never do it by yourself. You've got to make sure you've got a network around you, even if it's just your mum, your dad, your best friend. Could be even sometimes. I've had people on when I go walk around the park or go to a pub or something, obviously way before lockdown, or even people coming to my house, like on the driveway, and having a chat. And it could be just a stranger, but they just want to have a conversation with you because they want to just let off just vent their emotions and thoughts to you, and it will figure it out. Sometimes I don't even tell them the answer. Well, a lot of the time I don't. I get them to figure it out themselves by asking them questions, open-ended questions, and then they can search for the answer themselves. I think that's really important because you've got to self-discover. You've got to be independent in your thinking. But with dyslexia itself, it's flipping frustrating. When I found out when I was 19, it was a relief because I was like, yes, finally, I've got that label. I know I said earlier it's good to not have one as well. It's got pros and cons. So it was a relief that I was, okay, now I know what to do, as in, because I know I'm dyslexic, this is how I can hopefully help myself. It took me years to figure out how I learned, though. But then it was like, why me? I felt like a victim. I felt, why does this have to happen to me? Why am I dyslexic? And the thing is, with a lot of dyslexia, when I was a kid, I used to think it was nothing because I didn't know I had it. I used to think, it's only that you can't read very well or you can't spell very well or whatever. But it actually affects you in everyday life. Like, it affects me with my directions. I can't remember how to get to somewhere. Yeah, exactly. If I go to a new, even if I've not had any beer or anything like that on a holiday, I will forget where my apartment is. Yeah, and I'll literally have to ask my mate or my family, like, where's the apartment? I know it's 333, but where is it? Where's it gone? And they're like, it's just around the corner and up there. I'm like, what? I don't know where it is. So, and it's like, I remember when I was a waiter as well, I had to remember like all these orders for drinks and wines and tapas and all these different things, and Italian food as well, and pizzas, and I couldn't remember half of it. Yes, I had a notepad, but I'd have to tell them, can you read a little bit slower for me? I remember when I said it, like when I'm at school, when I have to do a load of passwords and stuff, I just say to them, can you just say that a little bit slower for me, or write it down for me, and then I'll keep it in my pocket. Or I'll keep it in my phone as well. I've got all my passwords on my phone because I can't remember passwords. I couldn't even remember my PIN number for ages. So my PIN number is the same on both cards. I have two bank accounts, and it's the same number, just so, because otherwise I'll confuse myself and I can't remember 8 numbers. But yeah, I think a lot of people, even if they're non-dyslexic, struggle with them sort of things. But I think it stands out more for us. 100%. I'm just a little bit gutted that my education didn't understand that I had dyslexia. Because I was seen as a high achiever, because I worked hard, they thought, oh, nothing's wrong with him. We'll put him at the bottom of the list if he is struggling, because we know that other people are struggling more, so they're priority, which I understand, but there's not enough resources out there. Like, I'm working with a few students at the moment, and they're struggling with their processing. They're struggling with, like, I'll play a video for them, and they won't know what to write or whatever, and I'll explain it all to them, and they're like, this is too hard, I don't know how to do it. But then I'll have a conversation with him, and he'll know all the answers. Yeah. So it's about putting it down on paper and having the confidence and the belief. Like you said, he doesn't have any belief in himself. So sad. So I'm trying to develop his confidence as well, because it's not about developing their English skills or their math skills. It's about developing confidence and communication, like we said, soft skills, organisation skills, and it takes time. It's a process. It's like you fall down 7 times, you've got to get up 8. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you don't get up 8 times, you're just gonna regret it. You're going to feel shit about yourself. Yeah. You're going to feel awful. I know at times it is difficult to get out of bed. I know at times it is difficult to do what you want to do because of job security. You might have a family and you need to financially be stable for them, especially in the current climate. But try and find a way to do something that you love, because otherwise, for me, it's going to be a hard challenge. But if you're doing something that you love, it's not work. I don't see my job right now as work at all. I just turn up, I enjoy myself, I make the kids laugh, we crack on with loads of education stuff, and I'll jump through hoops for them, but also they'll jump through hoops for me. It's a two-way process. And I said to them, like they said at the end of the week yesterday, thank you so much, Mr. Hughes, for the week. And I just said to them, no, thank you. You made it easier for me because you're motivated already. You already work hard. You're interested in the topics. You ask questions. You put your hand up. You do this, you do that. If you're trying, then you can easily meet someone halfway. If not trying, then you can't do 80-20. It doesn't work. You can't do 70-30. It's got to be 50-50. Sometimes 60-40. That's the max, though. You have to make sure it's a mutual understanding and it's reciprocal.
Perfect. I love that so much. And yeah, so much there. So guys, I'm really excited. So the reason we're getting together, obviously, I like chatting to you and sort of like spitting the stuff and going about it.
Cheers,
man. Like, we all got the same, yeah, we got the same exactly thinking. When you were saying about you like on holiday, I've got the same thing. You mean drive to work? I've drove to the same work for the last 6 months, and people ask me, "Oh, what roads do you take?" I have no clue. I go
exactly.
Turn out, and
it's like autopilot, isn't it?
Yeah, wherever my automaton takes me, I drive there. So I 100% resonate with that. But guys, the reason why we're talking here on Instagram Live, so we can help like spread the word for this Conquering Dyslexia Summit, and this is like over a dozen different speakers, just like Ben here, who's speaking about their own experience, and also like loads of people who are out there, coaches, speakers, mentors, mentors, you know what I mean, like and just influencers in the dyslexic space, so where they're working with other dyslexics, teaching them what they've gone through. Because what I feel like the people who are most passionate about this stuff, people who are really making a difference in loads of stuff, it could be like loads of charities, loads of work, loads of career, like you mean like I think 70% of the people who work in some sort of special needs or something like that have had personal experience with themselves, and that's why they're doing it. That's why they're passionate about it. Because oftentimes they don't take the easiest jobs; they take the jobs that they're most passionate about because they can add so much value. And that's what like so many of us as dyslexics do. We have an experience. That's why you're on it, Ben.
Yeah, we relate to it. Yeah.
True. And then we want to share it to other people, so I feel it's really valuable. So it's called the Conquering Dyslexia Summit. It's completely free summit to join, and it'll be the 15th, 16th, and 17th of February. We're doing this. So all the videos out there, and Ben is on them. We talked about step-by-step plan on how you can start this dyslexic journey. Like Ben was saying, like finding out he had dyslexia and having all these struggles he's faced, instead of learning with the processing, learning how he learned, and moving forward. I think it was like a 7-8 step plan. It's really detailed, really good.
Yeah.
Being able to sort of like get to where you want to go, or be able to get to the stage where you're actually loving your dyslexia and see the gifts in it. And I know
it's a gift.
Yeah, 100%. Loads of people believe, and it's no fault for them, when we say dyslexia is a gift, they go, bollocks. No, it's not. It's not a gift at all. But they only believe that because of their experience with it. And it's just like, I had a time in my life when someone said dyslexia is a gift, I'd go, this person's on drugs. It's not a gift. Maybe for you.
Seriously, you would. Yeah. I agree.
Maybe for you, but no, it's not for me at all, because it's just how I'm going through schools, these tests, these bullies, all this stuff. So it's really interesting to see a step-by-step plan on how you can actually take a process to make it a gift. So that's why I'm really excited to really talk about here. I mean, I spoke about it. Is there anything you want to say in regards to the summit and how valuable it would be on other people's lives?
Yeah, definitely, guys. Even if you're not part of the dyslexic circle, I think get involved, because there's always going to be someone, like, it's more common than you think. There's always going to be someone in your school, or who you're coaching, or physio, or anything like that, strength conditioning, athletes as well, who is going to be dyslexic. It could even be a child in the future, it could be anyone. And you've got to make sure that you support them, because it's a tough journey for them. It's not a nice feeling. I remember, to be honest, until I was I was 19 when I found out, but then after that, I had a really rough 2-3 years. Luckily, my first university, UCLan, so University of Central Lancashire, really supported me. And then I was a support worker and everything like that. But I must admit, without my mum's support, without my dad's, without all my friends, especially at Loughborough, all my mates there, they let me be myself, and I loved that. Like, I would be the annoying idiot who would ask questions every time, put my hand up. But the reason is, it weren't just because I wanted to test them out and say, oh, you don't know anything. It was because that's the way I learn. That's the way I process information. I need to know. It keeps me engaged as well, because my attention span's pretty poor. So I have to try and make sure that I'm part of the discussion, to try and make sure that I'm interested and I'm engaged and motivated. And also, I want to ask, I don't know, I'm really good at asking questions, because I've got this creative mind, and people let me have this creative mind, and I love that. And the same as the communities, what we have, they let us have a creative mind. That's why I love Instagram, and I love Canva, and I love LinkedIn and all these different things, and being creative and doing our own thing and using graphics. And I think it's great that we can, and we can just be ourselves. There's no judgment. Obviously, there's going to be some people who dislike us, and we have to get on with that. It's a part of life. It's the same as we're going to get rejection. But for me, it's not rejection, it's redirection, because it means that you're going to the next person you talk to who's going to be the one who is interested and wants to build a relationship with you. And relationships are massive for me. You've got to really get to know someone inside out, so then really you can really help them out and support them. Same as a dyslexic person, get to know them. Yes, they might be a little bit shy at first. Yes, they might have a lot of challenges. Like I'm working with a year 5 at the moment. And he was really struggling to even say a word to me at first, not just because he couldn't say it, he could speak really well, but he's just he weren't confident. He was like in his own shell. But now I see him say, hello, Mr. Hughes, and all this. He's more open in his body language. He's a lot more smiley. And for me, I don't really care if he does better in his academia. I care about his happiness and well-being, because if his happiness and well-being is good, it will have a knock-on effect on his academia. So he got Star of the Week this week. And I must admit, when I was listening to the video about his the reason why he got it, I literally cried, because it was about how much he's persevered. That's the key word for dyslexic, really. Perseverance, getting through it, challenging yourself. Yes, like you said, you worked really, really hard, but it's worth it in the end, because you're going to get the outcome that you want. Or even if you don't, I still say it now. I got a merit in my masters. I wanted a distinction. These things happen, but I still try my best. It's all so I can look myself in the mirror and be proud of myself. But also, I've still got to the next step. I can still have my sports psychology business. I can still start stage 2 training. I can still go in the Army Reserves. I can still do all these different things. So it's about understanding, and what you said earlier actually just triggered using silence. I'm poor at that as well. I don't know when at times, social cues, to know when to say something. So sometimes at the dinner table, I'll just wait a little bit longer just to say something, or when I'm with my mates, I'll wait a little bit longer to say something. Because sometimes, like I'm doing now, I have a machine gun mouth, and it just goes on and on and on, and I'm and then I lose my thread, and then everyone's looking at me like, what's going on here? And we can be guilty of social cues and understanding when to say something. Like you said, you want to be driving and you don't want to be crashing into cars. You want to be obviously having a nice drive down the road. I think the key thing is what I always say with my clients at the moment and the kids that I teach is all about values. You've got to be driven by your values. You've got to do what you love. You've got to be passionate about it. And that could be even contribution. That could be growth. So you've got a growth mindset, contribution. You want to grow as a person and then contribute to society. And you just want to help others. I love the people who are the givers in life rather than the takers. I love the people who are unselfish and want to really support others and get them to reach their potential and ignite their success. And I think that's really important rather than everyone has unhelpful thoughts and emotions like, you can't do this, I'm not good enough. No, that won't work. No, you shouldn't do that. You'll get judged or you won't be liked or whatever. Be yourself. Do what you love to do. You're the driver of your life. You're not the passenger. Your thoughts and emotions are the passengers. You're the driver. So crack on and get down that road.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. Thanks for having that spiel, and I've got the same thing.
Yeah, the spiel was there, but that's just about got the conclusion there.
Yeah, perfect. It's really, really great. So, guys, I really enjoyed this chat with you, Ben.
Really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to really listen to Ben and getting in depth and a step-by-step plan, also there'll be loads of links to you, Ben, to obviously his Instagram and stuff.
Oh, thank you.
It's a Conquering Dyslexia Summit. If you go on my Instagram, there's a link. It's completely free.
Really check it out, guys. It's massive because there's going to be so many experts in so many different fields. Business. What else is there? Sport. What other sectors?
Yeah, business, sport. In education, a lot of people about the best strategies to it, how to overcome your fears, how to gain loads of confidence, how to find your passions, how when you're in work, how to get the proper help and support you need, how to get properly diagnosed in the cheapest way and most effective way, how to the terminology mean, how when you're a parent, how best to support your child when you sort of feel something's struggling, what do I do, step-by-step plan depending on where you live. And so it's basically my goal is there's all these very common challenges that people facing with dyslexia. And by the way, challenges you are facing, other people have faced it too. And 99% of all the challenges I've got a solution to on this summit. That's why I try to look out for a pick for certain people on this summit. So it's a massive array of people of picking your thing. And sort of, for example, there's a lot of different speakers, and there'll be a description about what does each speaker bring. Be I need that one, and what's that one particularly. So yeah, on my Instagram there's a link to I'm signing up for this free summit. And
check it out, guys, because seriously, this guy is passionate, and that's the most important thing. That's why I got involved, because if I thought he doesn't care, or I can't relate to him, then I wouldn't have got involved. But seriously, Theo knows what he's doing. Crack on with that and really get engaged with it. And even if you don't watch it or whatever, maybe send Theo a message or myself a message about dyslexia if you're interested, or anything really, because it's a serious thing, because we don't want anyone don't want it to affect anyone's quality of life or standard of living or anything like that, because people think that they can't get a high income job because of it. But most of the entrepreneurs in the world, most of the people, or a big percentage of people in NASA are dyslexic. Most entrepreneurs in the world are dyslexic. Albert Einstein, Walt Disney, Jennifer Aniston, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, all these people, Tom Cruise, all dyslexic people. And I think it's amazing. And I think I see them as inspiration. I really do. I don't see them as I can't make that. No, I can do it because they've done it. And I want us to be the same. I want us to be seen as inspiration and motivation to try and get you to where you want to be.
Perfect, guys. Okay, Ben, it's been really great chatting to you.
Cracking, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Perfect, mate. And we'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, have a cracking one, mate. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you later.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now, I got something really exciting I want to share with you. Over the last 5 years, I've been absolutely obsessed with learning everything I can about dyslexia and how they can overcome their challenges and maximize their strengths. And I've been spending many hours on many days scouring the internet to find solutions to the problems. And I found many solutions. So over quarantine, I was thinking, what if I scour the internet again? What if I go through every last resource that I've been through before and take everything that's useful and put it into one place? And that's how I filled up a lot of my time in quarantine. I scoured the internet and found all the most inspirational, all the most informational, all the most useful videos about dyslexia out there and put them all into one place, so you don't have to waste time scouring the internet to find solutions to your problems, so you know there's only one place to go. And this thing I created is called the Dyslexia Black Book. You can get it at conqueringdyslexia.net/black book. Now, I'm wanting to offer this to you and present this to you completely for free because I want to save you time. I want to save you time, so scouring the internet and not finding the answers like I've done. If you go to conqueringdyslexia.net/black book, Conquering Dyslexia Black Book, you'll find it. Or guys, you can just click the link in this episode description to find it. But yeah, guys, that's the special message I wanted to share with you today.